Hello everybody! Today we're going to unbox, take a close-up look and test the RENPHO TENS Unit. So let's go ahead and open up the box. So this is a TENS unit from RENPHO and it's used for relieving muscle aches and pains. And here are some of its features. So the unit works by sending electrical impulses to targeted areas of the body. And taking a look on the underside of the box, there are some contact details as well as warranty information and technical specifications. So now let's go ahead and open up the box by, of course, removing the shrink wrap. So you do so very carefully using a penknife to make a little incision, and then of course peeling away the shrink wrap. Now let's lift the box up and see what's inside. So you can see the RENPHO TENS unit there, and of course checking the underside of the box, making sure nothing is attached or stuck on the underside. So now giving you a clear look right inside the box with the RENPHO TENS unit. So you can see it kind of looks like a smartphone with an LCD screen. Now let's pop the unit out from the box and setting it down, and of course removing the rest of the contents. So laying out the contents across the tabletop to show you all the accessories and parts that come with this RENPHO TENS unit. Okay, I will continue to remove the contents. So you can see there are some pads or electrodes, as well as some cable connectors as well. And a micro USB cable and desiccant here, or silica gel, and a little plastic card there. So that's the contents emptied out. Always make sure you store or keep your silica gel safe away from babies or toddlers. Okay, so that's the box emptied. Just going to close it up. And then resetting it to the side right there of the frame. Okay, so contents neatly laid out across the tabletop, so you have a nice clear view of the entire contents, of which we've removed from the RENPHO TENS unit box. So just spreading them across the tabletop so that they're entirely in the frame right here. Okay, so that's the RENPHO TENS unit. Just making sure nothing is obscured or obstructed. So we can start off by first taking a look at the user manual. Or actually, let's take a look at this slip of paper first. So there's an invitation card to register and provide a review of this RENPHO product. And some more information right there, should you wish to be a reviewer of the product. And some social media links as well. So we can set that down, and to the side, let's set down on the left hand side of the frame. And there is a card here. And it says, please paste the pads on two sides of the board when finish massaging. Okay, so there we go. So I think this is for kind of storing the electrodes away, the pads away after use. So let's set that down and move on to the user manual itself. So you can see the RENPHO TENS unit has a user manual that comes accompanied with the product. And just to show you right there just how thick it is or thin. And let's open it up. So on the first page there is some information there. So the print is quite small. So there's an introduction and precautions and just general usage information. So make sure you always read through the user manual before attempting to use such a device. So right there it's entirely in English. So no multi-language instructions, just simple straight up English right there on how to use the RENPHO TENS unit. Okay, so setting that down and moving on to the next booklet. So there is another booklet here or figure showing the anatomy diagram of the human body, and of course let's open it up just to show the different points of the body as well. You can see right there the various points of the three bodies right there, and of course the reference to all those points. So giving you a close-up look right there, and you can see they're all numbered to address the different areas and target them for pain and muscle relief. Okay, so right there, 3 different figures. Okay, so let's fold that up and set that down and move on to the next item. So we do have a storage pouch as well, so you can see it nice and shiny with a satin type of sheen to it for storing the RENPHO unit. And there's nothing in there. It's always worth checking. There's no other accessories or papers or manuals in there. So it is a drawstring pouch. We can set that to the side as well. And of course, micro USB charging cable here to recharge the unit. So the unit is rechargeable via this USB cable with the Type A and micro USB connectors. Okay, so moving on to the next item. We do have some connectors and cables, so you can see with the pins right there and plug. Of this cable. And just giving you a closer look as to the design or connectors of those pins. And then of course there is a few other sets of them, so a pair of them right here. Okay, so those are all the cables, and lastly we have the 4 pads. We have 4 packets of pads, so let's open or give you a look at them. So right there, 4 packets of electrodes or pads or sticky pads right there, giving you that look. Okay, so that's all the items covered. That took a little bit of time to go through, but just giving you that thoroughness there. And now we can move on to the main unit of the RENPHO TENS unit itself, which is the Transcutaneous Electrical Nerve Stimulation Unit right here. You can see just how thick it is as well. So it is kind of mobile or smartphone shaped like. However, it is slightly on the thick side compared to a mobile phone, but then that's not what this is about. This is a TENS unit. Kind of looks like a classic iPhone, doesn't it? And with an LCD screen. Okay, so that's giving you some idea of the size of the unit as well, resting in the palm of my hand while I kind of reorganize the background slightly, so trying to get everything in view. So right there, the RENPHO TENS unit. Do a bit of shifting around of the cables and connectors. Okay, so right there, the RENPHO TENS unit in the palm of my hand, so giving you some good idea as to the size of the unit. And in terms of weight, it is really light in weight, deceptive going by the size of the unit itself. So it's made from plastic, as you can see, quite glossy and shiny. And in terms of the thickness right there, and the size. So now taking a close-up look at the unit, so you have a better idea of what this is about. And you can see the connectors as well, or the sockets for the connectors once the camcorder's autofocus comes in, right there. A and B clearly labeled, so it's a dual channel TENS unit. So taking a look at the side as well with orientation, so with the back side of the unit facing up, and on the underside or base you can see there is a micro USB connector or port right there for recharging the unit, and that's the left side of the unit. So looking straight on, so top with the two sockets there, AB, and bottom with the micro USB port for recharging the unit, and then of course a plus and minus rocker right there on the left side, and on the right side a plus and minus rocker as well, along with an on-off power button. Okay, so that's the RENPHO TENS unit. Let's open up the packet of electrodes. So there is a square one right here. We had a quick look earlier. Let's remove it from its packet and slide it out. So you can see there is a pair of them in this packet. And they are protected with a film of protective layer. So you want to remove that and apply it to the area or body part in which you want to target to provide that impulse of electricity to that body part to provide that pain or muscle ache relief. Okay, so that's the small square packet. Now this is the rectangular packet here. Let's pop it open and slide the contents out. So you can see the two protective stickers, clear protective film on the electrode side or contact side of the electrode and on the upper surface. So they are pretty soft. You can see really soft to the touch on the top side, cotton-like material at the top, and in terms of the connectors, giving you a look at the connectors right there. So you can see soft and completely pliable. Okay, so that's the rectangular pad, and giving you a look at the square pad as well. And in terms of size, just resting them in the palm of my hand, so you know the coverage area of each of these electrodes or sticky pads. Okay, so setting the contents down, and then of course let's get the plugs or wiring and wire them up. So let's undo this cable tie for this one. So there's a single set for this and a pair for the other set of cables. Okay, so undoing the cable, and then of course so giving you a look at the pins right there and the connector as well. So always read the instructions before use. Don't do what I do. I'm just trying to figure it out without reading the user manual, which is completely unadvisable. Nonetheless, just doing it for the fun of it. Okay, so we do have this connector. Let's see where this goes. And then we have two separate ones, so you can have them separated to A and B, or just have them all together as a single A. So just plugging it, I believe anyway, I could be wrong, but let's try it out with that single A port connected to this set of cables here. You can see the white and black. So let's plug the white patch or a pair of the square cables in. So very simply pushing that very stiff and strong pin in there. And then for the second set, we want to put the rectangular ones on the black pins. I don't think it really matters which shape you plug into which color, but however, I think it's worth noting that you pair them together as shown here. But once again, I could be wrong, so I'm not dispensing any advice here, just trying to apply some common sense, but sometimes mistakes can happen. Let's try and avoid that. Okay, so that's that. And always apply the pads to your body part before turning on the unit. So let's do that. So just giving you a look just how sticky this pad is as I peel back that clear protective film. And obviously, as I shown you earlier, this stiff plastic card here is used for storing or keeping the pad attached onto after use. Okay, so let's try it out, just sticking that pad there on the top or back of my hand, just for demonstration purposes, and then turning on the unit. So there is a power button on the top right hand side. Let's turn it on. It does have a blue screen, as you can see. Might appear slightly white there, but I can tell you that it is blue. And then just giving you a look straight onto the display of the LCD. So right there are 6 styles altogether, or 6 effects. There is what appears to be a tapping effect, and then there is a beating or pounding effect, and a cupping effect, and then there is acupuncture effect right there, and then there is a scraping effect, and then a Tai Chi effect right there. So 6 effects to explore and experience. And let's try it out. So you can see that the pad is stuck onto my hand and it sticks on really well. Nice and securely. Let's see if we can get this going. So you can see there is a clock there to show you the timer mode. So 19 minutes countdown, battery level indicator as well on the top right hand side. So once again, giving you that look right there, straight onto the screen. And we've only connected one side, so there's 2 channels, like as I mentioned, as labeled here, A and B. So just connected on the A side with the 4 outlet points for 4 pads, which we've fully connected. However, we've only stuck just one pad right there onto my hand, or the back of my hand. Let's get it going. So it is a touchscreen model. I think maybe, as you can see, it responded with my touch right there, the animation for each of the modes or effects. So as I mentioned, tapping, pounding or beating, cupping, acupuncture, scraping, and Tai Chi. So let's try the first one there, and you can see there's a plus and minus on the left side. Let's tap it up to, I'm not feeling anything just yet. However, I might need both sides to be attached, but you can see A right there for the A channel and B right there for the B channel on the right hand side. So we're working with the A channel. If this is how I think it should work, let's make sure that we've got all the right parts connected, and I'll try attaching the rectangular pad as well. So let's peel back or peel off that protective film for the rectangular pad, and let's attach it onto this back of this hand right here, and let's see how we go. So very carefully increasing the level, and of course I've got some of the sticky adhesive on my fingers. Let's tap to increase the stimulation level, so I can feel impulses being sent to both hands, left as well as right. Little tapping or little jolts, but you want to be very careful right there because I can feel it, and there are 20 levels of intensity. So right now you can see indicated by this bar here, we're quite near the bottom of that intensity level scale, given that we have the entire length right there, and I can feel it is pulsing, giving a tap 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 or chop 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 kind of feeling. So let's lower the intensity for now so I can focus on talking through. So right there at the lowest level, I can't feel anything, or just about. So let's increase it by tapping it up, and I think we can touch there as well. So you want to be careful not to bump straight up to the top of that intensity scale unless you are really prepared for that. So we can do a plus or minus. I suppose we can do it gradually. It doesn't really jump or jolt, which is good. As you can see, it does it in steps, and so if we press on that plus there, it will increase the intensity, and at level 3 or 3 bars I can feel it work, but at 2 just about as well, but definitely not at 1, at least not for me anyway, at least not now. Maybe if I was completely still, perhaps, but 3 is 3, level 3 and level 2 is when I start feeling that those impulses being sent through to my hands where the pads are attached. You can see the square one on the left and the rectangular large one on the right, and I can feel it sending those impulses through. And each of these 6 modes have 4 patterns apparently, so let's find out. So let me just lower that impulse by 1, so it's on level 2 right now, and tapping through you can see there's a number in each corner of that box. Now we're at number 3, so I'm going to give you a close-up look, and right now I'm not quite feeling anything because it has reset back down, so we want to send or increase the intensity level again. So I'm going to go to level 3 when I can actually feel something more distinct, more distinct sensation, and I can feel it going left, right, and you can see the connectors white and black, so they're separated into 2 sets or 2 sides. So left, right, and this at this level is quite noticeable already, so you just want to be very careful. There are 20 levels. I'm not going to increase it anymore, and let's tap it through to level 4, and it's nice to see that it does reset back down, so it doesn't really give you a scare or surprise. So that's where you start adjusting to your desired intensity. So let's up it. Okay, this one I can feel at level 2, quite noticeable, a kind of light wave stimulation going woo, woo, woo. And let's, yes, right there, it's quite a relaxing feeling because it is a continuous woo, woo, woo kind of effect. And let's go back to number 1. So I'm going to describe, this is going to take some time, but let's go through all of them. So for the first pattern of the tapping motion, this one is a continuous impulse, but on a kind of longer stretch. It's going woo, and then it pauses, and then it goes woo again. So describing all of these to you, it's going to take some time, but that's the only way to do it. And then for this one, I have to go through. This one's like just a click, 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 and then it stops, and then it continues again. So number 3, increasing the intensity. This one's just a constant tapping, non-stop, continuous tick, 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 tick. Okay, so we can move on to the next one, which is the pounding or beating. Let's increase the intensity for the first pattern. Oh, so I can feel that kind of strong kneading pattern to it, where it sends that stretch of stimulation, and then it pauses, and then it repeats. Okay, so next pattern for the pounding or beating. Let's test it out. So pattern 2 feels the same as pattern 1, where it is sending a continuous pulse and pausing, and then sending a continuous pulse again. Moving on to the next. So remember, I'm just using a very low current of stimulation, only 3 bars, and I can feel quite a distinct effect on the back of my wrists where the pads are attached. So perhaps if you have tougher or thicker body parts or less sensitive parts, then that's where the rest of the remaining intensity levels will come in, where you need a stronger workout or pulse. So right here, feeling a continuous stretch again, feels the same. 1, 2, and 3 patterns for the pounding or beating effect. Let's tap on to move to the next number 4, and once again we have to increase to get it to work. So not feeling anything just yet. Oh, I can feel once again that pounding motion, and it feels 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the pounding all feels the same in terms of on, pause, well, maybe on is not the right term, but impulse, pause, impulse. Okay, and let's move on to the next one, which is the cupping one. So the first effect for the cupping, obviously I've got them on the back of my wrist, so perhaps different body parts may feel more distinct for each of these modes, but right now just describing the kind of impulses or signals that are being sent through. So just continuous wave, just one stretch and then pausing and then going again. So maybe not as thorough as I could by kind of testing these on each of my body parts, but you can imagine just how long this video would be. So just giving you an idea in terms of the strength and the patterns for each of these 6 modes. So once again, just that pulse, pause, pulse mode, and once again, I'm going to increase that. Okay, so also something to note is the pulses, when it stimulates, it does give that gradual increase and it's not a sudden shock so far, at least not that I've noticed. Well, maybe shock is not the right word, but stimulation, unless you're jumping straight up to the intensity level of 20. Okay, so once again, it does have that kind of emanating or growing kind of intensity for each of these modes, as far as I can feel. And level 4, once again, sending those pulses through. Maybe not level 4, but pattern 4. So once again, it's just a growing on-off pattern as far as I can tell, but maybe you're more sensitive than I am and you can feel the effects a bit more. And once again, as I mentioned, it might vary for different body parts. So right there, like as I mentioned, just 2 of those pads, one square and one rectangle on the back of my hands, just for demonstration purposes. Let's move on to the next mode, which is the acupuncture mode, and let's increase the intensity. Okay, so it feels like there's a pricking motion or sensation, like kind of tapping, and then the intensity comes on where you can feel like there's a mass stimulation there, and then it goes to a light pricking again. So that's for the first mode. Let's move on to the next. Of course, I think we can use these buttons as well on the right hand side to toggle the modes, instead of using the touch screen should you choose to, or choose not to. Once again, bring up. Ooh, this one I can feel that pulse is quite distinct. And these patterns are okay. There's always a sensation being sent through, or the electrical impulse, tapping, left and right as well, as in you can see the colors of the channels, white and black, so going left, right, and then there's a surge of sensation, and then it's just left, right. Okay, pattern 3, let's find out what pattern 3 is about. Okay, this one feels very soothing, like a low vibration right through, like a flutter, and then it pauses, and then flutter again on both sides. And let's use the plus rocker, and let's see if we can go. Okay, so that rock on the right hand side is for B channel, so if you want to toggle the modes, you simply touch on the screen only. So 4, pattern 4. Let's increase. So it's just a simple sensation and then pause and sensation, and it does so very quickly as well. So this one's quite relaxing as well. So let's move on to the next mode, which is the scratching mode. Okay, so once again, it has a very similar effect to the acupuncture, just an on-off simulation, but no pricking in between the pauses. No constant pricking or sensation. And let's move on to the next one. So this one feels like it's stimulating a longer stretch right there before pausing and then stimulating again, whereas the other one felt more like a regular and shorter pulse. And let's move on to the third one, or third effect for the fifth mode. Okay, this one feels slightly growing once it comes on and off and on again, but it has that gradual increase, but very short bursts as well. So moving on, the fourth pattern for the scratching mode. So it feels similar to pattern number 3, where it comes on and fades away, on and fades away again. Repeats. And lastly, we have the Tai Chi mode, whatever that might be. You can see that person just very animated, jumping up in the sky. Matrix style, or Trinity style in the Matrix at the start of the movie. Okay, so let's find out. Let's increase the intensity to 3 bars. And this one has quite a noticeable stimulation to it. So it has that pricking and then more intense continuous pricking, and then a very sudden wave of stimulation right there, and then back to a very soft pricking on both sides. So it's like low, medium, high, going through that 3 levels of sensation in terms of intensity, and going back down to a very, very gentle. It's like level 1, level 2, level 3, and then back down to, let's see, yeah, it drops off to level 1 again. So it doesn't taper off, it just drops all the way down. And let's go to the second pattern. So it's just a mixture of sensations, can't quite describe to you right there. And moving on to the next one. So all I can say is, because I didn't quite describe the last one to you, or the second one to you, or the one just before this current one, is because there's quite a length and a variation of patterns. So I would say that the Tai Chi one, so it's turned off so that you can see there's a 20-minute timer there, and we can tap on that timer to toggle the different lengths before it auto shuts off. So minimum length is 10 minutes and maximum appears to be 90 minutes, which is an hour and a half. So you can have it auto shut off once it's done counting down on that countdown timer there in minutes. Okay, so final mode to test for the final pattern, final mode, which is the Tai Chi mode, and let's up the intensity there. So as I was saying, with the Tai Chi mode, it's just a barrage of different sensations coming through in a different, in a variety of patterns. So a mixture of patterns for the Tai Chi mode, giving varying levels of stimulation right there. So let's just up the intensity one more on the Tai Chi. So right there, you can feel that surge of stimulation there, or electrical impulses going through. And that feels pretty relaxing as well, because it's a more predictable pattern, whereas the other three patterns felt somewhat random, whereas this one just grows and goes and just stays right there, and then it drops off again. But it's not like the other three patterns where they felt like there were quite a range of sensations being sent through for each of those three patterns for the Tai Chi one. The first three patterns at least, so but number 4 is a more steady and predictable pattern where it grows all the way to this peak, and then it drops off, and then once again the intensity raises again or increases. So very simple to use TENS unit here from RENPHO. It's still sending impulses through right now because I've not stopped it or turned it off. And so far it does feel like a very simple to use TENS machine with a wide variety of modes and patterns for different needs and to target different areas of your body as well. So to turn it off, I guess we simply press on that power button on the right side, and you can see that the unit is now turned off just there with that simple little power button. And to peel it off, very simply peeling off the sticker right there, and you can now store it away on this board or card right here. And you can see it comes off very cleanly, and there is no sticky residue, or at least minimal residue as far as I can tell right there from the sticky pad. So that's the RENPHO TENS unit. Thanks for watching and happy stimulating!